takes a minute. Here we are. It's been a while. It's been a while. Are we still connected with the interweb? Is anybody still awake in the interweb? It's a late 10:30. Time for the real news. Diana, Leslie, Jill, Linda, David, Wayne, Diana Blanton, Anita Stone. Hey guys, it's Jim with Crawfordology, and I know it's been a while. It has really been a while. It's been too long. It's been too long since we've been here together, and I can see that there's something not working on my counter. So what I'm going to do is I've got to log into Facebook myself. So just bear with me so I can actually listen to this. That's all right, Jill. I got it. I knew what you meant. Hi, Jill. So, you know, my mom said not to say anything unless you could say something nice. And I've been waiting. Really. I don't know about you guys, but it seemed a little bit crazy on our end. So I'm glad that so many of you guys are still awake. I hope it's not insomnia. I hope it's not the nerves about what's going on in our country. Hey, I just want to remind you, well, not remind you of this. That's not important. How about, see, it's been so long, I don't even know what button to push. I'm Jim. Please like and subscribe if you haven't done it already. And I bet you have if you're here this late at night. You probably did this. You probably came to support me because you feel sorry for me. But we really, really want to get the word back out there. As you know, Facebook is kind of pulling us down, and so is LinkedIn, or not LinkedIn, so is YouTube. See, it's late. I'm tired. YouTube has also been pulling us back. In fact, demonetizations everywhere, and we don't even say anything bad, right? We really don't say things bad. So if you really want to help us out, make sure you like and share, push it out so that other folks know that we're here and that they know we're around. So good to see you all. I'm glad that you're here. We're going to jump right into it. I want to share a couple of things with you, and this is going to look a little different. I like it, by the way. So Scott, if you're hearing me, I really like this. So here we are. There is American One. If you haven't gone here before, please make sure you do. I do need rest, John. You're right. I need lots of rest. So make sure that you come to American One. There are tons of stories here, things that really matter, like The Rock considers presidential run, admits to crying tears of joy over a Biden win. You know, I really haven't liked The Rock much since he came out pro-Biden, and it's just me personally. I think this is something that I think about, sort of like Bill Gates here, who says, hey, the only way we're going to save the planet is by switching to synthetic meat, which actually makes me think, is Bill Gates an alien? Is it possible that Bill Gates is an alien from another world? This is how he started Microsoft, and it's also how he's trying to bring us in to make us part of the food source for whatever interplanetary thing that he comes from. I don't know. I'm not saying it's true. I'm just saying, have you ever seen Bill Gates and an alien together? No. Okay, so if you haven't done it already, come see our videos over here. When you're missing me and I haven't been on for a while, you can come here and click. It appears like I'm whistling in all these pictures. I'm not whistling. It's just the weird time that they actually connect us here. I have no idea why that happens. It's the thumbnail. There are some great signature articles here from Dr. Rick Cromie, and I really want to point these to you, and from Elizabeth Morgan. There are some really nice opportunities to kind of read and understand at depth what's been going on and how we got here from our founders. So please stop in. And then if you just keep going, there's all sorts of other articles along the way. And if you go down far enough, you'll see we have lots of pictures of President Trump. So I say that smiling and joking, but truthfully, we really do have lots of President Trump stuff over there. And most of all, if I ever get thrown off these other places and you're not able to see me or talk to me or even spend 1 second with me on Facebook or YouTube, you can always come to American One, where you can watch it in real time. So, ta-da. All right, now that's out of the way. Jumping right into the story tonight. So it really surprised me when when I was doing a little bit of research today to think about, what is the right. Well, I see the titles have not corrected. So I apologize. You're not seeing the right titles tonight, but this is probably most definitely me. Here's what we're going to talk about tonight. There is claim that the GOP is trying to unite. Now, I just want to ask you folks who are more conservative voters out here, folks who are more aligned with ideas that, there really is such a thing as a male and a female, that there is a moral right and a moral imperative for us to seek out and do the right things, that there is a moral law, that there's somebody somewhere in this universe who's put these ideas out for us to follow, and it's not you or me. We don't get to kind of create our own law as we go and say, this is my code, everything's right, So if you are amongst those conservative voters, there are all sorts of things going on. I do not know, and I have not seen evidence of it myself, that I could say what is really happening is there are people seeking to unify the Republican Party or the GOP opposition. In fact, I sort of think that it looks like we have some, bumbling foolishness as people wander around inside. And I want to talk a minute about, because we didn't get a chance to do this, to talk about the impeachment and the impeachment part 2. And now we're starting, believe it or not, impeachment part 3. And I'll get to that in a minute. So don't go away. You're going to want to hear this. So impeachment part 2, we all saw this big thing play out in Congress, both before President Trump left office the week before, and then we saw it reconvene here in the early part of February as the Senate felt the need to conduct and hold a trial for someone who'd already been removed from office. So let's just get this straight. They wanted to see if they were going to remove somebody who'd already been removed from office. Maybe this is part of the problem about the way we're running the country, right? If people are either living a week behind or 2 weeks behind, maybe this is part of where the confusion comes in. So as they go through this whole process, and there's lots of public display, and we saw videos, by the way. So a lot of people were very critical of the president's lawyers, and I thought the opposite. I thought really it's up to the House members to demonstrate that he's guilty, right? Not up to the president's attorneys to disprove what the House folks were unable to prove. Because if you just simply show a lot of emotional video and you show how terrible, see how bad it was, he planned it, he did it, and he didn't say anything about it, right? That seemed to be the case put on by the House. And let me show you this video and how bad it was, and he planned it and he didn't do anything about it. And they kept doing this, and they were circulating it over and over and over again. And basically they did a few days of that. And then they went to something a little bit more exciting to have the Republicans do their version of, and look at this video. Here are the House members who are saying, when you say this, it's actually, some sort of treasonous, illegal act. Oh, here are more House members saying this. Here's some Senate members saying this. Yes, these are all Democrats, which means they automatically, doesn't matter. They get that get out of jail free card. That actually never even talk about it card. So it's as if you can say things when you belong to one side of the aisle that if you belong to the other side will get you persecuted. So you've got to be careful. But what I don't see happening right now is and in those closing moments, those waning minutes right after the vote, Mitch McConnell came out and had a statement that then said Trump's bad. And I don't know if that was meant to be some sort of kumbaya moment between the Senate where they were all going to meet in the middle and do some sort of group hug where everybody got along and everything was fine, or what he really hoped to do. But what I feel like happened, from my perspective, my cheap seat here, it seemed to me that what he did was he actually infuriated his own base by now not only, it looked like he was standing up for President Trump. It looked like he was standing up against what he believed was an unconstitutional, partisan hearing. And I'll say partisan, even though I realize there were 6 or 7 Republicans who voted in favor. We'll get to that in a minute. But here he was, had that moment where he had been defensive of the president, and then he comes out with but by the way, I think the president's guilty and culpable, right? Of all of this, all the charges that come lie squarely on Donald Trump's shoulders. So the problem I have with this is either he did or he didn't. Either it's constitutional or it's not. And no one was really looking for that moment after the fact. After you finish the event, that sort of should put some finality to it, where you seal it up and you say, okay, next topic of the people's business, because we really don't care about all this positioning that's going on, this sort of multidimensional chess game where right is wrong and wrong is right, and girls are boys and boys are girls, and all sorts of things in between. We're really just looking for the world, and I'm talking about me, the conservative friends, the folks who really think in terms of there is a moral right and a moral wrong, or an immoral wrong. So who exactly was Mitch trying to speak to? Who was he trying to connect with in that moment? Did he really, is he so tone deaf that he felt in that moment he could actually deliver some healing words, and that the left would go, yeah, see that Mitch McConnell, he's a real statesman. He's a real statesman. Are you kidding me? Their hair was on fire that you didn't convict. If you didn't see all the comments that were coming out from the left about what terrible people you were, except for those 7 brave Republicans, like Mitt Romney, right? Like Olympia Snow, those people who really put it all on the line, those people who have higher values, higher standards than you could possibly ever understand. Being a low-life, Republican Trump supporter. I don't know what's wrong with us. I don't know what's wrong with the whole world. But I don't think, as the Wall Street Journal says, that Biden is facing headwinds against this unifying, and the title actually says, Biden agenda faces GOP seeking to unify an opposition after Trump impeachment. Are you kidding? I think that the Republicans are still melting down. The guy who I really wanted to hang out with was the head attorney for Trump, right? He at least seemed to know what he did and didn't like. I love the mic drop in the interview. I love the idea that there's somebody who's willing to say, you people are out of control. You people are just here for the ratings. Say whatever you want. Set the whole house on fire. You don't care as long as people watch. So, no, the Republicans aren't unifying, because the Republicans right now seem very spineless. If they were unifying, if they were stronger, there would have been a more concerted effort before all this went down. And those 7, I hope will find themselves in their last days in political office, never to, they may switch to become Democrats, which, I hear, and there's some arguments that people make. D'Souza actually makes an argument and says, no, we need people like Snow, because it doesn't matter. Even though she doesn't vote for us on these particular issues, she votes for us on other issues. To tell you the truth, I just sometimes like to know who my friends are and who's aligned with me and who's not. I don't really care about the ones I can't always count on, because if you can't always count on someone, is that really beneficial? I had a different opinion of this. I did have a different opinion. I kind of shared D'Souza's opinion that, it's better to have them sometimes than never. But why do we have to put up with that? These people are winning by some significant margins in their home states. And then they come back and they say, well, the problem is, the reason I have to vote like this is the way my people want me to vote. I don't know. I don't know if that's true. I just don't agree with the idea that these folks become so intolerable and so intolerant of anything. You can remember back during the impeachment, a couple of these folks had decided to impeach before they even knew what the evidence was. And there was no evidence. The evidence that was laid out, the whole idea of this sham that there was an assault, a coup on the White House, or a coup on the Capitol. It's ridiculous. Call it what you want. Yeah, there were a bunch of angry people who were very upset about the outcome of the election and the uncertainty that they'd been treated fairly. So what did they do? Did they tear down the city hall in their local communities? No. Did they burn down the local Walmart or Target? No. They went to their house of power, to the seat of power in the country, and they said, we're not happy. And yeah, did they do it righteously? I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe they overdid it. Let's not forget, in Andrew Jackson, who was a Democrat, when he was inaugurated, they broke the furniture in the White House. He was the first president to live in the White House. And at his inauguration, he opened it up for all of his friends. And they set things on fire. They broke furniture. They had fights. They were basically a drunken party. So what we had was not entirely different. We had folks who went to the Capitol to make their voices heard by their elected representatives in the Capitol, which is a much more appropriate place to me than going to the Target or the Walmart or your local strip and deciding that you're going to set fire to a police car. Hey, I don't like the way I voted, or I don't like the way the vote turned out. Let's burn that police car down. Right? That's not what we did. So, and I say we, I wasn't there, but I know people who were there. They went to make their voices heard. They did not go to be some occupying force to take over the government. Were there people there who got overzealous? 100%. Were there people there who made stupid and unnecessary decisions? 100%. But I'll tell you, that happens in just about every crowd. That happens at a good concert, at a good carnival, right? Bad things happen. People do dumb things. That doesn't mean that you lump the entire group and the entire message into the circumstantial evidence caused by a few and maybe the physical evidence caused by a few, but you don't do that and then pin that on everyone. What's happening here is there is a tremendous game of politics being played, and the Republicans, who aren't unifying, aren't doing it very well, right? This is almost like you're playing a card game or a game of Monopoly, and all the other players are unified, right? The far left, the less far left, the little bit less far left. I don't even think there's a middle left anymore. It's just left of the lefties, right? They're all talking the same thing, and the Republicans are all over here, all over each other, not talking at all. And when they do talk, they don't share common ground. So no, there's not a unity right now in the Republican Party. It needs to happen. It needs to happen. And probably, I think the way all these things should happen is when you have a failure like this, that party chairs in states and counties that lost elections should go. You should step down. You should have the good sense to say, hey, you know what? My plan didn't work. Maybe somebody else can do this. But just like political office in other places, people just seek and desire to be at the center of these offices or the center of power. I want to be the kingmaker. I want to be the person who knows the representatives and the senators from my state. And I think it's terrible. I think it's wrong. I don't think that it's been good. Greg Bubb says, "Don't say concert, Jim. I haven't been for a while." You're right. You're right. I got some friends. Simon is a huge concert goer, and he goes to all the concerts, and he hasn't been able to go to any. So now he goes into his basement and sings to himself, I think. Actually, he sings online. You can see it sometimes. So these sorts of things are problems with the whole system. What I do like, and I'm going to the Epic Times article, is that conservatives flock to grassroots GOP positions to push party reform. So, hey, I am happy that people are fed up with it. And people are going in and they are saying, hey, I'm coming. I'm going to come and I'm running for that position. I want to be a county commissioner. I want to be a central committee member. I want to be the chairman of the GOP. I want to see what I can do to bring some change because you people have lost your minds. You don't take a knife to a gunfight, and you don't take old worn out tactics to the new internet, high-tech connected type of battle. And that's what we're doing. And we're allowing these tech companies to outplay us at every turn. Not only to outplay us, but to be in a position that they can shut us down. So I appreciate that there are a number of things happening, and I just want to say, as we see what Donald Trump does post, and we're going to get to that third impeachment, so hang on. As we see what he does post impeachment number 2, what's that going to mean for the Republicans? Is he really going to energize a new party, or is the party going to be something different? By the way, I don't like what the party had been migrating to since George W. Bush. When I think of the George W. Bush time, I think we were starting to get more and more blended with the Clinton era of the Democrat Party, and we were just finding ourselves as really this homogenous group that lacked a true direction, a true picture of where the country should go and could go. And when you can't differentiate yourself from your competitors, it becomes really difficult to win a position or to win an election based on something that the people will be attracted to. So instead, you tend to throw mud at the other guy and you say, yeah, do you like ham? I like ham, but that guy likes ham, but he also likes 3-day-old bad ham, right? You try to make up something that makes this competitor look outlandish and extraordinarily unlikable. I like it better when we can articulate our own opinions, when we can articulate our stance and say, this is what we believe in, this is what they believe in. You choose for yourself, which do you think is best? And that to me is much stronger than the smearing that goes on. I like the fact that, Leslie, there's a third impeachment going on, and I'm just about to get to that. But I like it much better when we see people who are out there and they're really communicating an idea, they're communicating a vision, they're painting a picture. Because you know what? When you have the right picture, when you can cast the right vision, you can transcend the whole idea of political party. If you can energize people to see that there's something in it for them. Hey, there is something to this, right? When you hear Republicans, particularly Republicans my parents' age, speak fondly of JFK, other people who've kind of studied JFK, in the rearview mirror, find that many of the qualities that appear to be redeeming in JFK during his life are maybe not so pretty, right? There's all these other things that were going on. And morally, you could question, was JFK really, the kind of guy we wanted in the White House? But what JFK was able to do was to cast a vision that we could go to the moon, that together we could put our energies in doing something bigger than humans had ever done, land on the moon, and we could all look up and see the target. Everybody could see the goal. Everybody could understand this is an opportunity. We don't really know what it means. I mean, at the end of the day, it wasn't sort of like a big so what moment. I mean, maybe we learned many, many things and I'm just not aware of, but sort of it seems like here we are about to do it again, 50 years later. And, it was almost like a game of tag. Tag, you're it. I did it. I'm going back to Earth now. And it's not like we built some sort of housing on the moon. We didn't live up there. We did go to the space station. Of course, the space program developed a whole lot of goodness. But if you can cast a vision that catches the imagination, that gets people behind it, that makes them feel as if there's something positive, you can go a long way and you can move past these ideas, past the idea that it's Democrat, Republican. And I think that's what we've got to get focused on. How can we lead, not how can we, bleed ourselves to death? By the way, if I haven't, and I know I haven't on this episode, hey, make sure you guys, pretty soon, we've got the American One beanie. I got beanies and hats and we've got these very cool hot and cold mugs, which I love. I actually use them all day, and it's terrible because I use them all day. There aren't any for sale on our website. However, we are going to put those up there. I promise you that's going to happen. So now let's get to the third impeachment. So the third impeachment started to happen about 5 minutes after the second impeachment was done. And I think that this one was was planned as sort of the backup plan, right? So what are we going to do if Donald Trump somehow is able to defeat us and gets through? And they knew that this was going to happen, so they had to have a plan. How can we make it look even worse for him? Well, if you haven't seen the news today, it's not an official impeachment. This becomes the impeachment where they use the legal system to do this, right? They use the legal system to simply stress and pull and pressure and cost Donald Trump money. And they do this through either their state governments. You know, you can guarantee that in New York, that every U.S. attorney that ever wanted to run for governor, lieutenant governor, mayor of the city, dog catcher, they're all thinking, how can we get Donald Trump? How can we do something to him? And they're already filing charges or filing, not charges, I'm sorry. They are filing lawsuits against Donald Trump, the Proud Boys. And some of this is happening down in Mississippi, right? We've seen a couple of different lawsuits come out. So what you can bet you're going to see over the next, probably the next year is more and more of this until we're finally tired. I mean, I'm tired. I was tired at the first impeachment, really tired by the second impeachment. And now this whole third thing, it's like they can't get enough. And it's interesting to see that along the way, not only do we have Trump accused, but now we're throwing Giuliani. So Representative Benny Thompson, Democrat from Mississippi, the NAACP, and Representative Benny Thompson, they decided that they were going to sue the president. There it is, Wall Street Journal article. I'm not making it up. Proud Boys, the Oath Keepers, as defendants. So they really want to take on a new level, right? Let's just keep this thing going, because we know there's nothing that we weren't able to convict him here, but can we find some civil action that will keep this in the news and keep people remembering just how terrible President Trump was, how bad he was for our country, how much he worked against us. So it is definitely a version of impeachment. Only this time what they're trying to do is they're trying to ensure that this is a cancel culture, right? It's the cancel impeachment. They're trying to make sure that every business doesn't want to work with him, any bank that he might need to refinance or do something, that they won't think about it. They want to make sure that companies that have supported his brands stop. People who were going to have events at his venues don't. And you can bet that this is going to continue in full swing until until probably, sadly, that Trump is either a broken man or he's chosen not to run for office again. Now, interestingly, as we find the Democrats frequently, they have a hard time finding any investigation that they didn't love, except if it's against them, right? They're not going, hey, what a silly idea this was. Why do we need to look into the Biden family? That's ridiculous. Who thought of that? So President Joe Biden delivers remarks on the national economy. And today talked a little bit about supports forming a 9/11 style commission to investigate the Capitol breach. So that's what we're going to hear about for the next 2 or 3 years, folks. This is what they're going to try to use to give you the reason that you need to give up your firearms, because you're not worthy of firearms. You can't be trusted. Could you imagine what would have happened if those crazy coup folks had made it through the Capitol grounds where they're going to put that permanent fence in, had made it through and been armed? It's no telling what would have happened. You guys might have taken over the chamber for a minute until the real military and police department got there. So they're going to use this to justify tighter controls on firearms, tighter controls on civic groups, tighter controls on the types of things that can be said online. And they've got the Zuckerberger and the folks over at YouTube and Google and Twitter all fallen in line with this to make sure that they suppress any speech that doesn't sound like their speech. So if you're not singing the company line, you can you might as well start your own site. And by the way, don't start your own site, because if you're thinking like Parler did, that well, I can't start my own site, but I can start my own site. I can't start my own internet service provider. And Parler is supposedly back up online. I'll tell you what I found with Parler over the last couple of days, and I don't know. I know many of you are users on Parler. I have not been able to post yet to Parler. When I log into Parler, I can't see anything yet. When I log in online or when I log in through my phone, and I'm just not able to do it, or through my computer or phone. But the point is, so Parler comes out and they say, well, we're going to build something, and they build something really nice, and conservative voices flock there and go there. Well, then you're looking at the next tier, right? The next piece of the supply chain. So, well, this group says you can't do it. You know, Apple doesn't want Parler on their mobile devices. So we are on Rumble, Paula. I do have to figure out, there's a couple of things I have to look at. When it comes to Rumble, I have not learned all the tools. I've posted several videos, and I don't know that all of them show. So I think it's kind of funny when you go to Rumble for me, and I understand that Rumble may be coming to a live stream. So if Rumble comes to a live stream, that's where we'll move this to the Rumble live stream. I love that idea. So let's go to the comments, folks. I want to get a couple of comments in tonight, and I promise I'm going to try to do better. This is a crazy time in our regular business right now, and I feel like I'm putting in 42-hour days. I know that's not possible, but if you put 24 in the mirror, so could be anyway. So Ellie says this is wrong. Third impeachment: President Trump should file charges against the Democrats. Yeah, well, so Ellie, I was being a little bit smart. So it's not really a third impeachment, but it is, right? They can't let it go. They cannot let it go. They just keep it rolling. Rick says, oh yeah, hi Jim, Cynthia, Zeus, and Trumpers. All right, fantastic. Fantastic. Hey Rick, good to see you. Terry Huber says, listen to Kamala. She's so educated. And I know I call her Kamala because I put the accent on the wrong part of the word. And, you know, it's just, I do. I'm sorry. My wife corrects me all the time. Cynthia tries to get me going. She tries to keep me in line. She tries to at least make me be respectful. I don't do that always intentionally, but, you know, Kamala doesn't rhyme with Kamala Mala Ding Dong, you know. So John Graham says, I don't think I'll give up my guns. But earlier I thought John said, what guns? So John might be being facetious. Yeah, Gatling guns are illegal. Are legal. Gatling guns are legal, says Rick. Yeah, your guns will be paying a tax. Yeah, Terry, that's also a big concern. That's what they want to do. They want to really make sure that they penalize you to the point. Look, it's $1 per round of ammo right now. $1 per round. Stuff that used to be pennies, you know, change. 17 cents a round. Now it's $1 per round. Very crazy. So Ellie says she's not giving up anything. Me either. You know, there's got to be a free state left. Texas says, forget it, Joe. We're not doing it. And that's my George Bush. But, you know, it doesn't really make sense because he's not the governor. My guns, I don't think so. Lock and load, says Donna Robertson. So you know, there are so many things that are going to continue to happen, and we're going to continue to watch the crazy things roll through this administration. And look, I find myself really, yeah, I saw this, Jill. Jill Groth says, impeaching Kamala Harris. So there, I said it right. There has been some discussion about an impeachment for Kamala Walla, and we'll see where that goes. I'm gonna hold my tongue on that for tonight. But there's a lot of different things that are happening where we're being pushed. Cindy Stefanoff says, not going to happen. Not giving up mine. They want to take our guns away because they're afraid of the 80 million angry Americans taking things into their own hands when we've had enough. Yeah, look, what I do at night, and I still continue to pray for our country, to pray for the president, even if it's Joe Biden, almost especially if it's Joe Biden, because God help us if Joe Biden, if something were to happen to him and we were to go through the process and get a new president, we know who that would be. And I'm not as optimistic that she would constrain the changes even as much as Joe has done. I am hoping that now that we're past the second the second impeachment, that we're actually going to get to a spot where we're able to pause, have people get back to doing something that at least seems as if it's positive for the country. But I can't swear to it. You never can tell with this bunch, right? There are so many folks who are all about and only about trying to do the wrong things. I just pray that that's not the way it goes. I really do. I pray that we get back to some positives, because look, folks, at the end of the day, we know that there's a higher power in control of this world, and in all these things that these men think they're doing, and women think they're doing, we've got a better, higher power that's in control, and it's nice when we can think back on that. So pray for your president, pray for your country, pray for President Trump. You know, he's got some hard road ahead too. Let's keep watching things and see what happens. Yeah, Dorothy says Joe's following the orders of the demon rats, the Democrats. So I hope not. I hope not. I hope that we will see some normalcy start to develop, and that the Republicans will get a plan and get together, and that these folks who did not help us win an election decide to exit stage left, and we get some new blood in. We've also got to think about this with our candidates. A ton of stuff, folks, that we could talk about with President Trump and some comments he made today on Mitch McConnell. Make sure you come over and look at the things over on American One. Some really interesting stories going on there. And I think and I'm just going to refresh this real quick because I want you to see. Well, maybe it's just not going to do it right now because I'm broadcasting, of course. So anyway, trust me when I say that if you go to American One, you can also see the video. If you don't find us on Facebook and all the other places that we once happily lived, where people are bumping us off one at a time. Tonight, just to kind of give you an example, normally for us, you know, our numbers would be much higher. They capped us tonight. It looks like about 480. So they didn't and the way they do this on Facebook is they pause, they stop sending out notices. So some of you will write to me and say, hey, I don't get notices when you're on. Well, that's because they just stop them from going out. You know, when they control the network, they get to say how big you can be or how little you can be. So when we were getting up and steadily right now, we're declining in numbers because just natural attrition, and they don't allow growth. So we're in a weird spot on Facebook. So we've got to find some other places to do this, and we've got to have some more opportunities for us to talk and spend time together. I promise to try and be better about this. You know, before election, we were 3-4 times a week. Now I feel like this is the first time in about 10 days. So thanks for hanging in there with us. Thanks for coming and spending some time with us tonight. Absolutely love that you guys are here. We will see you all soon, and hopefully we'll get a regular schedule.